that the right idea would be to turn him heel, just roll with it, put him with Heyman, let Heyman talk for him, and go from there. But of course, this all depends on, is Brock staying or is he going?
Well, according to Paul Heyman, he's going to unify.
No,
he's going to he's going to try to do a Dan Severn. He's going to have a World Wrestling title and a World UFC title at the same time.
I don't think either company would let that happen.
You don't think Vince and Dana could get in the room together and work something out?
No. That's two huge egos to do that.
Of course, but don't you think they could figure something out?
No. I don't.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Because I think there's a lot
Brock's not winning the heavyweight title anyways.
Well, I'm just putting it out there.
Cain Velasquez can't even get the Octagon to fight. He's going to win the title.
Here's the thing is, Brock and Kane are perfect because you never see either one of them.
Valid.
It's a very funny moment where the biggest heavyweight champion in MMA and the biggest heavyweight champion in professional wrestling are two guys who are constantly missing.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
I think that's hilarious. But we'll see. We've also advanced the Sting Triple H feud,
and we had this versus the Black Scorpion.
This whole thing with Sting having this voiceover that now they said it was Sting's voice, but it was fixed. It sounded like Ryback to me. I know we were making cracks about it being Ole Anderson and it was inspired by the Black Scorpion. All of that is preposterous. Why can't they use remember when he did the thing with the crow and they had the really weird sounding voice and that cut the thing and it's a shadow from the whatever. Do something like that so it's obvious that it's not Sting. And this voice was talking in the first person, but it obviously wasn't really Sting. It was a little silly.
Yeah, I was all excited. I was like, oh, we're gonna finally hear Sting. He's gonna cut a promo, and then it wasn't Sting, and I was like, what just happened here?
I blame Kevin Dunn.
Absolutely, 100% Kevin Dunn.
But I'm still looking forward to this. In fact, I took a WWE Fan Council survey, and it was a survey that was supposed to be about Raw and SmackDown, but they ended up asking a lot of questions, including what are you looking forward to most at WrestleMania? So I had a 5-word answer. Can you guess what my 5-word answer was?
Something to do with Sting. Wait, let's see, 5 words. No,
my 5 words of doom. My 5 words were Sting, Sting, Sting.
Oh, just saying. I thought you were gonna
Sting. No, I have a very limited vocabulary. But it was funny because this survey was interesting because it asked you. It went through almost the whole roster or a lot of the roster, and it asked if you wanted to see more of someone, less of someone, or the same as you see now. And it was funny because they basically listed almost every diva. So you could say, well, I don't see any Eva Marie, but I want to see less of her anyway. less of Summer, less of Cameron, and then more of Emma. Right. And then, some of the other people. And one of them was like Damien Mizdow. And, I basically filled it out the way I honestly feel. Yeah. And I think for the most part, I didn't say more for Brian. I said the same for Brian. I think he gets plenty of airtime. I said the same for Cena.
Yeah, that's fair too.
I did say more Lana.
Yeah, okay.
You can understand. If you saw mine, you would say, yeah, Nick, that's what Nick did.
Yeah.
So Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker, Bray Wyatt going old school, he has found the urn, and The Undertaker has apparently accepted. Now, I hope this means that they have come to terms with him. We still haven't seen him, and we're not going to see him until WrestleMania Silicon Valley.
Which I love.
But, Brian Lee is still alive. They could dress him up as the fake Undertaker.
Just in case, plan B, in case Taker decides to hold out Warrior style.
That's right. There's always a plan B. He's been waiting. He's been in the company for 25 years. He's been waiting for this moment to hold out like this. So, for all intents and purposes, we have basically confirmed Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker. And I know some people were sort of tough on Bray because Bray Wyatt flubbed his promo a little bit. But honestly, whether he meant to do it or not, it kind of worked for me in the sense he seemed a little nervous and he was tugging on Superman's cape. He was going after The Undertaker. He was flubbing his lines because there's a little bit of nervousness here. Now, that might have...
People got on him because he flubbed some lines?
I saw more than one tweet about this. Yeah.
I honestly didn't even notice.
Well, that's like I didn't see Raw live, but when I went back and looked at that, there were a couple of times. I think there were two instances where it seemed like he was a little off. Like he meant to say something, and he just did a couple of flubs.
I've never minded the whole botch thing, to a degree, obviously. But
what about Scott Steiner?
like I said, to a degree, because I think it feels more real if you do it that way. If you go out there and you know that you're supposed, like when somebody messes up a move and they go back and they try to do the exact same move again, well, you're pretty much saying, well, this is how it's supposed to go, instead of just making it feel real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one of the things I dislike the most is when they fuck up and then they decide to do it over again. And that's one of my biggest complaints with some of those ECW guys, like Sabu. Sabu does that.
Well, that's just a whole different category when you talk about Sabu.
But I thought it worked really well, and I'm looking forward to that. And there's a couple of things I'm looking forward to at WrestleMania. The Andre the Giant Battle Royal is coming together. We have what's looking like a really good Intercontinental title ladder thing, Brian.
That's going to be fun.
And I have some thoughts on that, but we'll save that for the preview show.
Oh boy,
we're gonna have to figure that out too. Probably have to do that on the Tuesday since we're gonna be out there Thursday.
Yeah,
I will be in I'll be in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania that night, but I'll make myself available. Little worky thing. So yeah, WrestleMania 31 is coming together. We're gonna have some sort of tag team thing. We're gonna have Cena and Rusev has been solidified, and the story is that WWE is looking for Russian soldiers for WrestleMania.
That'll be a cool entrance.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be really cool, and I think Lana will dress something spectacular. She needs to really be something special.
Lana will step her game up for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I'm confident in that.
Can we get Nikolai Volkov for this?
Well,
at the very least, they should do some kind of backstage segment, if not at WrestleMania, then the night after. Because those guys are.
I think at Mania makes sense to do that. It passes them in the hallway.
As long as Cena passes,
salute.
Yeah, as long as Cena passes Mr. America.
That would actually be hilarious.
We're good. And then, of course, what if Hogan comes out, tries to help Cena, it doesn't go well, Cena and Hogan start getting into it a little bit, and then that's WrestleMania star right there. We're on the precipice here. We're something is happening.
Well, it feels like in order to
at
sell
WrestleMania, maybe Hogan comes out to congratulate. Yeah, you got to put 100,000 people into that stadium in Dallas.
You got to announce something a year in advance.
Well, I mean, I think you and I hit the nail on the head.
We know which one we want to book a year in advance, but
yeah. How about both? What's wrong with both?
That's fine with me.
So we are pretty excited about WrestleMania. It's not the most exciting WrestleMania. I know last year you were very excited because of the Bryan stuff,
right?
And I was excited for New Orleans, and we'll let our friend Amplified to Rock very briefly speak here, because on the Brothers of Destruction podcast, I did not listen yet, but apparently Josh is not very excited for WrestleMania. So, Josh, I would love for you to state your position to the listening audience here.
Well, it's not that I was at one point genuinely excited for this show, but this television show is killing me every week. Every week I finish watching Raw, and the last thing I want to do is watch WrestleMania. And I tried to explain that in my heart of hearts, I know that the show will be fine. I know that the Intercontinental Championship ladder match is going to be a great match at the end of the day, but the build up to it is so stupid. These guys they're building a match around a bunch of guys stealing the title belt. Like, that's not exciting. That's not something that...
It was better when it was about Dean Ambrose talking about all the great Intercontinental title holders.
Well, I haven't watched SmackDown tonight, but that's apparently what Bryan pretty much did tonight. Let's talk about that. The past guys and why he wanted to be in the match instead of stealing the title.
Well, that's good. At least they can get this actual title over. But you know what I mean? But so the build up to that has been so stupid. The Orton and Rollins, I was when Orton came back for Fastlane, I was like genuinely excited to see that match. And in fact, that was probably the match that I was most looking forward to was seeing Rollins finally, or Orton get his revenge on Rollins. And then they've been doing this stupid convoluted story of, well, I'm actually part of the Authority, but I'm not actually part of the Authority, but I am part of the Authority. And then they had this stupid segment to open the show this week where Orton basically told everybody that he was going to turn on them, and everybody bought into it. But then he was like, "Oh, I'm just kidding," and everybody was fine with it.
But I kind of I'll say this, I kind of liked the slow burn where we all know it, like it's sort of like it's like a Columbo mystery. We all know who the murderer is. We're just waiting to see Seth Rollins figure everything out. Honestly, I could have gone even longer. I could have gone to the Raw before Mania.
I actually like that. It was like one big joke that everyone was in on but Seth Rollins.
I think the way they blew it off was not handled properly, but I liked the build. I thought it was pretty funny, and it was one of my favorite things I think Randy has done in a long time. This is probably the most I've liked Randy since he was the Legend Killer, to be honest. So well, I liked aspects of that. I just think that they could have handled it was a lot of really good foreplay. It was like a really hot makeout session. Things are getting really hot and heavy, and then it's 4 seconds.
Yeah, but now you don't need to see the match because Randy Orton's already gotten his revenge on Seth Rollins.
Well, maybe they'll do some
because what is there to gain in this match?
Can I propose a 6-man? With Rollins, Mercury, and Noble versus the Ortons, Randy, Bob Jr., and Barry Orton, Barry O. Can I throw that out there for WrestleMania?
If you put Kyle Orton in the match, he's got to do it.
He's happy in his retirement. But I get what you're saying. That's why I sort of wanted it to be like the very last Raw before Mania, that finally Orton snaps and goes and basically attacks Rollins and says, "I'll see you at WrestleMania." That's basically how I would have handled it, and I would have handled it a little differently. But I sort of liked it up to that point. And what about the main event? You're not looking forward to whatever clusterfuck this main event is going to be?
I mean, the only intrigue to me in this main event is what is the reaction going to be like, and is WWE going to have the stones to have Roman Reigns win the title at WrestleMania? Because I don't buy into the idea that even if it becomes very obvious that Brock is leaving the company, I don't buy into the idea that the crowd is going to turn on him. It's not going to happen.
No,
it's not going to happen.
No chance the crowd turns on Lesnar. He's the baby face. No chance.
Exactly. Totally. He's the baby face coming into this match.
This is very different than the situation with Goldberg and Lesnar, where everyone shit on the match, and Austin was there to take all the baby face pops, because the negativity towards Roman and the fact that Roman isn't leaving makes it worse. The fact that Roman is staying, and this is supposed to be like the passing of the belt, the passing of the torch, makes it worse. They are going to make Lesnar the babyface. They aren't going to boo both of them.
Yeah,
there's too many boos for Reigns.
And we know Lesnar's deal. We know he's not a long-term solution, and that he's a once in a while guy to show up. So it's not like we're seeing him every week, and then all of a sudden he's just up and leaving. We know what his deal is. Where not a lot of people want Roman to be this guy. We want other people in this spot, and he's the one getting the giant push. So everyone's just gonna go towards him with the hate, and Brock's gonna be every time Brock doesn't move, the crowd's gonna cheer for him. Every German suplex.
So yeah, totally. He's definitely gonna be the fan favorite on this one, and so it's fascinating to me because their hands are tied in that if Brock is leaving, what do you can't risk having a situation where Brock is the champion and he leaves. Now, whether or not Brock is actually going to leave, that remains to be seen. But they do have the luxury of the fact that Brock is scheduled to be at Raw the next night. So if they really wanted to do it, they could, if they really wanted to make Reigns the champion, but they didn't want to have him be booed out of the building at WrestleMania, they could have Lesnar get the win at WrestleMania and then have Reigns get the big win the next night on Raw.
That might be worse.
That might be worse.
That might be worse.
I feel if Lesnar wins at Mania, Seth Rollins is leaving with the title.
Leaving WrestleMania with the title?
Yes, I think he cashes in and he wins the title.